Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm trying to get this hangnail. I hate hangnails. They don't hurt, they're just annoying. Hanging there on your finger, only getting snagged every time you use that finger. No, they're not painful. They just drive us crazy. Well, I personally, that extra le, I consider that extra le the hangnail of Spanish. You know what I'm talking about? John gave the book to Sarah. Why is the Spanish translation of that Juan le dio el libro a Sara? It's like saying John gave the book to her, to Sarah. So even if you've seen my videos on indirect object pronouns and direct object pronouns, even if you understand everything in both those videos and can whiz through both practice worksheets, links to both are down there, you still have zero clue why that extra le has to be there. And it does have to be there. Juan dio el libro a Sara is just plain wrong. And I'm not afraid to admit, until I went to make this video, I had no clue why the extra le had to be there either. I'd looked it up and asked people several times in the past, but never with success, and I could never find a place where this very specific subject was explained. Until now. I recently spent 2 full days totally obsessed with this extra le. I decided I wasn't going to allow an explanation for the extra le's existence to elude me 1 second more. I messaged my smart translator friend Nico in Colombia and asked him, what's up with this extra le? And the words that came out of his mouth, his response to my burning question, the answer to the riddle of why the extra le, what Nico said to me that day would set the tone for the next 48 hours, and thus the tone of this video. Nico said to me, and I'm paraphrasing here, I have no clue what you're even talking about, smiley emoji. Hola, soy Jordan, and this is a Spanish Quickie. Fast, easy Spanish lessons from somebody who speaks your language. In this video, we're obviously talking about the pronoun le, but this isn't an introductory video, so if you're not already familiar with direct and indirect object pronouns, le, la, lo, you'll get so much more out of this video if you go back and watch the videos I made on those subjects. Links to all of them are down there. Okay, le. Why the extra le? When we want to say John gave the book to Sarah, why is it Juan le dio el libro a Sara with that extra le? The English translation of our Spanish translation is John gave the book to her, to Sarah. After my initial message to Nico, I decided to take a step back and go through my normal process. I created a detailed outline with all my thoughts in the order I wanted to present them, with examples and questions I had. But when I received the outline back from Nico, he'd really torn it apart. No, we do that all the time, not just with le. No. From looking at Nico's corrections, 3 things were immediately apparent. 1, Nico cares way too much about punctuation. Nico, life's too short, man. 2, I still had no clue why the extra le was there or why it was so weird. And 3, Nico didn't get it. He didn't see what you and I see. He didn't feel our pain. He didn't understand why the le was extra. He offered me examples that were the same, but with me and te, to which I replied, nah. But right before I scurried back to brainstorm again, Nico asked me a question. Not just any question. This turned out to be the magic question. Want to know what it is? Well, tune in next week. Just kidding. The magic question is that weird? So I went back to my desk, but now armed with the magic question, is that weird? John bought the book. In Spanish, that's Juan compró el libro. The direct object in that sentence is the book. You can usually identify direct objects by asking questions that start with who or what. What did John buy? He bought the book. But more importantly, is that weird? No, that isn't weird. Next, John bought it. Now we're using a direct object pronoun, it, to replace the direct object, the book. In Spanish, that'd be Juan lo compró. We still good? Is that weird? Juan lo compró? No, that's not weird if you know how direct object pronouns work, but that was just to get you warmed up. Now the meat and potatoes, indirect objects and indirect object pronouns. John gave the book to me. In Spanish, that would be Juan me dio el libro. The indirect object pronoun is me. You can usually identify indirect objects or indirect object pronouns with one of 2 questions. To whom or for whom is the direct object? So to whom did John give the book? To me. Me is the indirect object pronoun. Dio is just the irregular third person singular conjugation of dar, or to give, in the preterite tense. So Juan me dio el libro. Is that weird? Nope, still not weird. John gave the book to you is basically the same thing. Juan te dio el libro. Now te is the indirect object pronoun. Still not weird. What about this one? John gave the book to her. In Spanish, that's Juan le dio el libro. There's as the le finally, but that's not the extra le. Who did John give the book to? To her. That's why le is there. It's the indirect object pronoun. Same as me and te in the last two examples. Then what could be the problem? Oh, maybe it has something to do with that redundancy thing. You know what I'm talking about? In English, we can say John gave the book to me the normal way, but to add emphasis, we can say John gave the book to me. So in English, we add emphasis with our tone, but in Spanish, they add emphasis with redundancy by saying the same thing twice, like I just did. John gave the book to me is Juan me dio el libro, but John gave the book to me is Juan me dio el libro a mí. Same words in English, but a mí was added to the end in Spanish. Obviously, a mí means to me. The me and a mí are just two pronouns that mean the same thing, working together to emphasize to me. We're getting closer now. The English translation of our Spanish translation is John gave the book to me, similar to our extra le problem. But that's not an extra to me, it's there for emphasis. This one's not weird either. And if that's not weird, this shouldn't be. John gave the book to you is Juan te dio el libro, but John gave the book to you is Juan te dio el libro a ti. Same thing as the last one, but it's te and a ti working together now to add emphasis to you. Nope, not weird. Maybe this? John gave the book to her is Juan le dio el libro. Then John gave the book to her is Juan le dio el libro a ella. We are getting so close, but this still isn't it, because this one makes sense. The English translation of the Spanish translation does have the double to her, but for emphasis, same as the last examples. This isn't weird at all, other than the fact that we're kind of talking backwards and saying the same thing twice. Nope, not weird at all. Wait, I just thought of something. In real life, the third person is different from the first and second person. In the first and second person, there's almost never ambiguity. It's hard to get more specific than me and you. Whenever we do the me, a mí, or te, a ti thing, we do it for emphasis, not clarity. But in the third person, ambiguity is common. Juan le dio el libro could mean John gave the book to her, John gave the book to him, or John gave the book to you formal. So in the third person, to avoid this ambiguity, clarity is often required, or at least it's helpful. In English, we'd say something like John gave the book to her, to Sarah. To Sarah is added at the end, at the last second basically, for clarity. John gave the book to her. Then we realize they might not know who her is, so at the last second we add to Sarah. John gave the book to her, to Sarah. And they do exactly the same thing in Spanish. Juan le dio el libro a Sara. But if they do the same thing in Spanish that we do in English, that means it still isn't weird. And the search continues. Oh, I see something. This is kind of our problem example, but ours was John gave the book to Sarah straight out of the gate. Not to her, no clarifying tone, just normal John gave the book to Sarah, which in Spanish is Juan le dio el libro a Sara. And there it is. That's exactly what gives us trouble. Why the le when we're saying Sarah from the start? Not to her, then adding to Sarah later to clarify. Why isn't it just Juan dio el libro a Sara? And this is when I went back to Nico, pretty desperate. Maybe my 17-year fear of the extra le was warranted. I showed Nico what I had, everything we just went through, but with fewer words. And he started asking it again. Is this weird? No. Is this weird? No. But then he saw it. Nico did, to add some clarity. Here's what's going on. And unfortunately, I can't give you some magic way of thinking that will instantly make this weird extra le not weird. But I can explain to you with confidence what's going on so you can at least get some peace of mind. And really, if you say John gave the book to Sarah, Juan le dio el libro a Sara 10 times a day for a week, you'll be fine forever. But let's get that peace of mind for you. The problem is most acute when going from English to Spanish. In English, when we use an indirect object, Sarah, in the Spanish translation, no matter what else is happening, you have to use the indirect object pronoun. I'm going to repeat that. When we use an indirect object in English, you have to use an indirect object pronoun in Spanish, which obviously, for whatever reason, totally short circuits our gringo minds. So our problem example, John gave the book to Sarah. Sarah is the indirect object. To whom did John give the book? To Sarah. And I just told you, when we use an indirect object in English, we have to use the indirect object pronoun in Spanish. But I didn't say instead of, or replacing, or anything like it. If we don't also say the indirect object, Sarah, we've lost vital information and it's no longer an accurate translation. John gave the book to Sarah can't be Juan dio el libro a Sara without le because of our rule. And you can't say Juan le dio el libro because you've lost vital information. That's just not a good translation. So ladies and gentlemen, that is why there's an extra le. Do you feel better? Well, I don't. Why is this le so confusing but nothing else with le or me or te is? Well, it's time to come clean with you about something. The rule I just told you about indirect objects, I just made it up, but it totally works. I said it like I did for a reason. Those are the words that best solve the problem problem that lives specifically in our gringo minds. Because what's really going on, and this is what Nico pointed out to me that got the initial light bulb to go off. In all the previous not weird examples, there was this balance I hadn't noticed. So forget about everything we've talked about so far. Forget about direct, indirect, pronouns, emphasis, clarity, forget it all. In every one of those examples, Juan me dio el libro a mí. Juan te dio el libro a ti. Juan le dio el libro a ella. Juan le dio el libro a Sara. There's this balance on both sides of the verb. The recipient is always referred to twice. Me a mí, te a ti, le a ella. Then this jerk, le a Sara. That balance, which just looks like repetition, that's the key to this. It doesn't seem weird in the first and second person, and sometimes in the third, because we're used to doing it, the balance thing, for a logical reason, for clarity or emphasis. But with John gave the book to Sarah, as John le dio el libro a Sara, for the first time, we have to attain that balance for no reason, for the sake of the balance itself. And we do that with an indirect object and an indirect object pronoun. So that's what's different in our problem example. The balance thing happens in the first and second person also, but the double pronoun is needed for other logical reasons. It's only in the third person that A, we have to achieve the balance strictly for the sake of balance, thus it feels extra, and B, we're using the indirect object and indirect object pronoun at the same time, as opposed to two pronouns and all the other examples. And that obviously just doesn't sit very well with us. You feel me? It's this balance requirement that's the root of all evil. This is kind of like the double negative thing. Do you want something would be ¿quieres algo? But if you don't want anything, nothing or nada, you should say no gracias. Just kidding. In Spanish, you can't say quiero nada or no quiero algo. For negative statements, you have to use a double negative, frowned upon in English. So no quiero nada, I don't want nothing. Notice the English translation of the Spanish translation has two no's, thus seems weird. Is that familiar? Okay, I just pulled that double negative thing out of my you-know-what, but I think it works, just to give you further context. And giving context to new information is what learning actually is. How does this new information fit in with what I already know? How does it complement it? How does it contradict it? Now get out of here. I need to practice. John le dio el libro a Sara. John le dio el libro a Sara. John le dio el libro a Sara. What are you still doing here? You're not gonna make this not weird watching me practice it. Go. John le dio el libro a Sara. John le dio el libro a Sara. John le dio el libro a Sara. I'll see you next time. Hasta luego. Adios, amigo.